A very good afternoon to one and all present here. I, Swati B. Chaudhary, the President of SYNAPSE, Department of Zoology, Miranda House, University of Delhi, wholeheartedly take the privilege to welcome SYNAPSE staff advisors Dr. Nisha Vashisht ma'am and Dr. Yasha Yadav ma'am, other faculty members of the department and students to this virtual tour of Bannerghatta Rescue Centre. I would also like to welcome the honorable guest speaker, Dr. Roopa Satish ma'am. Ma'am is a veterinary doctor who has been attached to Bannerghatta for a very long time. And before we begin with this virtual tour, I would like to share a few things about the Bannerghatta National Park and the Rescue Center. The Bannerghatta National Park is located near Bangalore, Karnataka. It was founded in the year 1970 and declared as the national park in 1974. The National Zoo Policy 1998 provides opportunity to all the zoos to function as a rescue center for orphaned, refused, rescued wild animals subjected to availability of housing and upkeeping facilities. This park is one of the rescue centers launched by the Government of India in the year 1999 under Central Zoo Authority for Rehabilitation of Rescued Animals. The park has successfully established the rescue center over an area of 17 hectares within the biological park limits. The rescue center, such established, started functioning from December 2000 as an off display area. The Bannerghatta Rescue Center is managed and curated by the Wildlife Rescue and Rehabilitation Center WRRC. The rescue center has two wings, one each for the lions and tigers. Rest of the centers is planned to harbor different varieties of trees and plants to create natural surroundings like forest inside the center. The rescue center is further protected by a moat as a second line of defense and a solar fencing as the first line of defense against elephants since it is an elephant country. And now, without any further ado, I would like to request Dr. Roopa Satish ma'am to please take over from here. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank, thank you, Swati. Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Roopa Satish. I'm a wildlife vet working here at Bannerghatta Rehabilitation Centre for the past 13 years. I've done my master's in veterinary science from Veterinary College, Hebbal, Bangalore. And I immediately joined the zoo after passing out. And I worked in the zoo for 4 years in the rescue center for lions and tigers. And then I shifted to this NGO, which is WRRC, which is run by the Karnataka Forest Department. And the beauty of this place is it is not a lifetime care. The animals which are brought here injured, orphaned, abandoned, or even pet poaching cases, we rehabilitate them, which means that once they are independent, can fend for themselves, have the psyche and the temperament to survive in the wild. They are released back in a suitable habitat. So let me get right down to the tour. We get urban wildlife mainly from in and around the Bangalore city as well as rural areas. We get small mammals like monkeys, bonnet macaques, that is, slender lorises, jackals, foxes, spotted deer, flying fox, that is the Indian flying fox, which is a bat. Then we get small birds, large birds, carnivorous, all manner of birds, and reptiles. And this is our basic guest list, you can say, which is quite vast. We around get more than 35 species, if I can list them. So let's get right down to the tour. I will just change the screen. So what you're now seeing is our first enclosure, which is prepared, Bosch helped us construct this cage. This is basically an aviary which is very flexible. So as you can see, the first aviary portion, we have been housing star tortoises. These are the Indian star tortoise, which were seized by the police from poachers, and almost 600 of them were rescued and brought in November 2021. As you can see, the numbers are quite high. And on arrival, because of the overcrowding, badly transportation conditions where they were housed, kept in small boxes and bags without sufficient ventilation, space, as well as feed and water, many animals upon arrival died. So in spite of the losses, we could almost rescue 555 was the total number. And right now we have released almost 200 stars, and the rest are awaiting release. As you can see, these are terrestrial, and they are herbivorous. But the common fallacy, or the problem with people is, as soon as they think tortoise or turtle, they put them in water, they feed them fish and other non-vegetarian foods, which can cause serious digestive issues, as well as problems when you put a terrestrial species into a aquatic habitat. So there is a lot of misinformation, no awareness, and this takes a toll on the numbers of these wild species. Also, according to the Wildlife Protection Act of India 1972, it is completely illegal to either house, transport, keep as pets, use body parts in any form and shape of all wild animals that are found in the Indian subcontinent. So by this I mean even iconic species like lions, tigers, elephants, and common mundane species like crows, rodents, squirrels, star tortoises, terrapins, birds, etc. So this is a star tortoise enclosure, and now we'll go to the adjoining enclosure, which is basically an aviary, which is meant for black and Brahmini kites. I would have to keep quiet now because these birds are very nervous. So what you just saw were the black kite and Brahmini kite aviary. We get a lot of black and Brahmini kites, and the main reason for them being brought to us are manja cases. As you have heard, during Shankranti and other festivals, we like to fly our kites, and the string that is used for that flying kite is a very strong, resilient nylon thread, sometimes coated with glass shards, in order for it to be more lethal to cut the other kites which are flying, not to injure animals intentionally. They call the Chinese manja, and they are banned, but the use still is prevalent. And when the flying kites are cut, the thread just hangs in any tree, and the birds which are perching there kind of get entangled. Their legs sometimes, their wings sometimes even their vital organs around their neck, and those cases are fatal. But what you just saw in the aviary were all wing entangled manja cases, and so we remove the entangled manja carefully. But by the time the animal is brought to us, it is kind of almost a week or 3 or 4 days since the injury has happened. So there's a lot of necrotic damage that takes place, which is sometimes irreversible. But in most cases, the animals are so resilient that they do make a complete recovery. But if the flight is not 100%, we cannot release them, and hence they remain in the aviary till the flight improves. And if there are some broken bones, we do orthopedic surgeries as well. But the chances of recovery and complete flight is quite 50-50, so it's case to case, but we do our best. So my point here is, these are big birds, these are carnivorous birds, and they survive and make it to our rehab center. But there's a lot of damage happening to smaller species of birds, like say koyals, barbets, squirrels, which also get entangled. But because they're so small, no one notices them, and they just suffer a silent death on the tree canopy, or in the on the branches wherever they are stuck, and they die, and no one even notices them. Those numbers are not counted. So I think when we do indulge in such activities, we should be very responsible when we are getting rid of the waste that is generated, including the very colorful kites that are flown. Actually, many birds like crows are very curious as to what are these colorful papery things, and they go investigate, which is the problem, which is when they get entangled. So we need to be more aware and careful and sensitive to the things we do and the consequences that they can lead to. Now, I will take you into my next enclosure, which is the this is an inpatient room for bonnet macaques. Now we get a lot, as I was mentioning, we get a lot of bonnet macaques, which are the monkeys that are found in and around Bangalore. And uh, and these bonnet macaques are basically under treatment. So they're housed in separate squeeze cages. This fellow, for instance, was kept as a pet. And as you can see now, he's been abandoned by his owners because he attained puberty. And upon attaining puberty, he kind of started showing bad behavior or vices, as we call them, like masturbation, which is when people don't know what to do. And they come and then give the adult animal to us, which is now very confused as to why he's been, sent away from his home. And you can see he's not very doing very well. He's kind of depressed, thin, not eating very well, and in fact, he's not even facing the camera. So some psychological damage is also suffered by these primates because they're also very intelligent, like us humans. This fellow, quite curious,
Ma'am,
he
sorry
came
to
with a
interrupt.
burn injury on his hand and body part. Now, bonnet macaques use the tree canopy to cross the roads, which is, part of the, yeah. So this is part of the landscape
Ma'am,
now.
I was asking.
Urbanized. I can't hear you, Swati. I can't hear you.
Okay, all right, ma'am.
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Ma'am, I was asking, like, what is the solution? Like, how will you be managing the previous monkey that you were showing us, the one who is
This
depressed,
fellow.
and how are you
Yeah.
planning to improve his conditions, the medical condition?
So the point is now we house them next to another injured animal. So we are
Okay,
hoping
ma'am.
that the interaction with another monkey will kind of get him to rethink his strategy as to he's not a human because he's humanized and he's lived with humans. He's got imprinted by humans, you know. So now we will try to erase that picture and reprogram him literally for him to start thinking, behaving, and being like a monkey. So
So basically,
we
we are
house them
trying
next.
to work on the imprinting behavior, है ना?
Yes, yes, we have to
Okay.
now reprogram them literally, which takes time,
Okay.
but it happens. They are very intelligent, and once they're mixed with the, the house next to other macaques, and then we even slowly integrate them where they can actually touch, play, and have the physical contact. Because monkeys are very physical creatures. They like to groom each other, touch each other, and play. So you
All
can
right.
see this monkey is very curious about him and wants to interact, but you see he's aloof. He doesn't know what to do with this monkey. So
Yes,
this
yes.
fellow is a wild monkey. He came with burn wounds, electrocution mainly, because they use the wires and electrical cables to cross the streets nowadays because the tree cover has been removed, to widen the roads. So they get electrocuted, they fall down, and then there are dog bite cases over that. So it is like a triple whammy for monkeys now with the tree cover being lost. And if we do not take care, I think we will lose our bonnet macaque population. I mean, in the next 100 years, I think they'll be as extinct as your, or more so, or completely disappear in the next 100 years. So we need to take measures which is not being thought of yet because they're just monkeys at the end of the day, and no one is paying attention as much as they would to a lion or a tiger or even elephants for that matter. This is a little brutal case. This is an old guy, and at old age, you can see he's got a very bad scarring wound on his face. And that is because when they're old, their sight kind of depletes, and that's when they can't get to trees fast enough, and the dogs on the streets get them. So this old chap will be lifetime care with us, where we will take care of him till he passes on. And he has an excellent appetite and in very good spirits in spite of looking so having such ghastly wounds. He is a cheerful, happy guy, and if I let him, you even want to touch me, which we obviously don't encourage. So these are our inpatients currently under treatment. The once the animals are a little better condition where the treatment has kind of been completed, then we will shift them into larger enclosures where they have more space for movement, interaction, as well as socialization with other monkeys. But that will take a very slow, long process. We need to ascertain the monkey does not get overwhelmed with the sudden influx of stimulation and company, and because most of them are not they don't know each other, right? So they will be take time to get to know each other. So it's a very slow, long process. uh, Now I would like to take your attention to these birds. These are basically called rose ring parakeets, which is used by astrologers for fortune telling. You can see he's quite feisty. There is no fear of humans, and can you hear the vocalization? He is very, very vocal too. So what happens is these birds are used for astrology
Yes.
in village fairs where they used to give the fortune telling. So these birds have been housed in very small enclosures where they've not even flown ever, and their wing feathers are clipped. So, and there is no fear of humans. So if we release such a bird, most likely they will get eaten up, killed, or get again trapped by people and kept in cages. So this also is a very slow, long process, as long as 9 months to a year for this particular bird who came last week to finally look at release, or even longer if he has a very good memory. So it depends on from bird to bird. So this is a rose ring parakeet. Now I would like to bring you to these birds which look like rose ring, but they're Alexandrine parakeets. And we had the police bring us almost 26 Alexandrine parakeet chicks on 7th of Feb. And they were little chicks which were basically kidnapped or poached from the forest and brought. They are used in the pet trade. Now, people assume that because they talk and they are very intelligent, they would like to keep them as pets, and they are very, very popular in the online pet trade also. So we have to hand rear these birds because they were very small, and now they're slowly being weaned onto solid food. You can see we got 26 of them, so we have just divided them into batches, and you can see the head bobbing behavior, which is basically because we hand feed them a reconstituted feed. They assume we are the parents, and they would like to kind of interact. So these are all the rose Alexandrine parakeets. I would like to take your attention to this rose ring parakeet whose beak was clipped. This is a cruelty case where they have kind of sawed off the beak, and it's very, very cruel what has been done to this bird. Uh, but luckily, this feisty fellow has been able to sleep and is doing quite well. And but we have to still wait and see how the future progression goes for release, because in the wild he might not be able to find food, break seeds, splinter the shell of seeds very efficiently, and might starve. So we will have to look at his future, which will eventually decide whether he's released or not. Next, I would like to take you inside our feed cutting room. This is where we cut the feed for all the inpatients, and as you can see now, evening feed is ready. This is for the star tortoises. The boys have cut the feed. This is for the monkeys, parakeets. You can see it looks like a very nice feast, and every animal gets a feed according to their requirement. And so now the boys will clean the enclosures, which is done twice a day, and then the new feeding is put. Since we are a rehab center and we don't know what kind of animals will be brought, we have to keep a stock of seeds, which is kept in these places. Then we have meat, fish kept in these freezers, and the fruits and veggies are stored here. And let me now take you through our snake room, which is we get a lot of reptiles, as I was telling you. So these boxes are basically where the snakes are kept. These are called vivariums, and they are covered because snakes are very shy. creatures, and they do not like to be disturbed. And if they are disturbed, there's a lot of stress happening. So I will just show you this snake box, for instance, houses a rat snake, and this rat snake was basically hit upon, and she has a little wound on her tail, but she's ready now. As you can see, she's very feisty, and yeah, there she is. So rat snakes are basically non-venomous species, which actually are doing us a service by controlling our rodent population. But people are so afraid, they see anything slithering and they straight go for their, killing devices, I might say. So some people would throw kerosene and burn them. Some people take sticks to beat them, and others take knives and other material, sharp instruments to kill them. So the situation is quite sad. This is another rat snake, again a case of trauma, because it was found in their house, and they again assume that she's a venomous snake, and they try to kill her. So this is again a rat snake. Then the next box houses a spectacled cobra, which is a venomous species. And as you can see, we'll just remove the newspaper. So this particular cobra was found under a garbage dump, big dumpster, and she was stuck under the wheels, and she has broken her spine at one spot. And you can see she's quite feisty, but there is a lot of internal damage also. So how her recovery happens, we'll have to see eventually. But for now, she's looking good. She's hooding, and she's aggressive, and healing. Yeah. So since snakes are ectotherms, that is, they are cold-blooded, and they are housed in these inside spaces, we have to keep a heat pad, which will provide the temperature which is optimal for the animal to function and for the treatment to be successful. Then this one is a cobra. She's a big girl. And again, this is a trauma case. I think she was run over. But the history is never clear, because we get it quite some time after the injury has happened. So if it's a trauma case, there will be, definite signs of tear. And this girl also had an open wound near her on her body. Then the next one is Russell's viper. This is a venomous species and very, very dangerous. Can you hear that sound? That is basically the threat. She's giving like a system where she's saying, I'm venomous, I'm dangerous, please back away. Otherwise, you might get into trouble. So all venomous species, which is the cobra as well as the viper, they do something called give us indication that they are dangerous. Please don't mess with me and back away. So the Russell's viper, you can hear her right now like a cooker. She's going off. They have a hemotoxic venom. Basically, the venom where they bite, there will be local tissue damage. Swelling, pain, and there will be a lot of clotting factors that get damaged. So it's a very, very painful bite. But the cobra has a neurotoxic venom, which is basically, it affects the entire nervous system and affects the respiratory system. So it affects the entire system, basically. Now, having said this, I want to say something about the dry bite and the wet bite. I don't know if you've heard of it, but all venomous species give something called a dry bite. Wherein, if say you're walking in the forest and you come across a venomous species, where they know you don't intend harm, but you accidentally stamp on them or scare them, they might give you a bite on the leg or wherever, but they will not envenomate. That is, they will not inject venom. They have bitten you, so you will see the blood, pain, even the fang marks. But they have control over their venom sac, wherein they don't inject venom. It's called a dry bite. In such cases, we still hyperventilate, we still get so scared, we go to the hospital and straight take anti-venom without ascertaining whether there is venom in our system. And this taking venom, anti-venom, when you do not have venom in the system, is very dangerous. In fact, taking anti-venom when you don't have venom in your system will cause damage and can kill you, So it is very essential to distinguish whether you have a dry bite or a wet bite. And the best way to do it is to remain calm. Do not tie any tourniquet or any cuts. Don't do any of that. That's all old school. Go to the nearest hospital which has anti-venom, and they need to monitor your essential parameters like heart rate, blood pressure, clotting time, bleeding time, maybe get an ECG reading. So in half an hour, if you have a wet bite wherein you have venom in your system, all these parameters start becoming very erratic, which is when you know the anti-venom needs to start going into your system. So even a drip line should be ready where saline is going initially and you're getting monitored only. In half an hour, if there are no changes in these parameters, it's a dry bite, and you can just come back home with like a Tetvac and some painkillers, So this is very essential, and most doctors also are not aware of the dry bite and wet bite systems, and they cause more damage and the snake gets a bad name, So that's why it's my mission to kind of get this word across that snakes, venomous species, are very, very intelligent, and they consider the venom that they produce as gold to us, okay? So they will not squander it and keep injecting anything they come across which they're not even going to eat. For instance, a human with their venom, they're just angry that you kind of irritated it and came too close or maybe touched it and invaded its space. So they might bite, but they will not envenomate, But having said this, you never know. Please, if you are bitten, you have a doubt, go to the hospital, get yourself monitored with an IV drip also, so that if the parameters start becoming erratic, you can start the anti-venom therapy ASAP. So let's go to the next one. This is this is again a cobra. You can see she is hooding and she is quite upset to be disturbed. So we'll not disturb any further. I hope you can hear that. Again, she's mentioning that, look, I don't like to be disturbed. And so they hood and they make that sound. So the last one here also, there is a little tiny cobra, and she's also giving the hooding display. I have to mention here that small baby cobras are more dangerous because they do discrimination as adults, and every bite they give, once they think that, okay, you didn't mean to really bother them, or their venom glands as effective. Because people come into conflict with them more, they're more afraid. She's a big girl and she's ready for release. We might be releasing her this week itself. She had come with a injury, and now she's almost ready. So this is my operation theater where we do the treatment, and surgeries are also done. So, so right now I have 5 cobras, 2 rat snakes, and 1 viper. Out of these, the viper and the cobras are venomous, as I mentioned, and rat snakes are non-venomous. So we have to understand that the maximum snake that we come across, 99% are non-venomous. And even if you come across a venomous snake, the chances are you've got a dry bite mostly, but people need to remain calm, which is not happening. It's a very instinctual fear. People just lose their minds when they come across a snake, and they're working from a mode of panic, which is what I think kind of gets the person most of the times. So it's very essential to remain calm, even if you get bitten. I don't know, it is a trick. I understand that most people can't remain calm in presence of a snake, but if you remain calm, what happens is your blood pressure remains steady, and even if you have venom in your system, it does not go deeper into the tissues, and so you will require less anti-venom to kind of counter it, So there are a lot of benefits of remaining calm, and the human mind is a very strong system, basically. So if it also has a placebo effect. If you can keep telling yourself, I'm going to be all right, this is a dry bite, nothing's going to happen, I'm strong. So that auto suggestion also helps, and this is just from experience. I'm sharing with you. But um, okay, as continuing our this is my, she's a jackal. I think you can see her circling, and I'll just get away and speak about this. We are getting the animal nervous. So that jackal was brought from a local range forest called Nelamangala, close to Bangalore. And the range officer said that the animal was found near a main road, and he assumed it's an accident case, head injury. And the treatment was started accordingly. But what we found is there were a lot of symptoms of a dog disease, which is called distemper. So now what is happening is in the forest fringes, the dogs which are in the cities, domestic animal diseases are basically spilling onto the wild, and since the wild animals are not vaccinated, so a dog disease is causing a fatal condition in a jackal or a fox or a wolf, which is in the forest. So most likely this jackal has contacted the dog disease of the dogs, which we commonly find, that's called a canine distemper, and she's lost her balance, and maybe then she's gone onto the road where she's got hit, and she also has a fracture on her leg. That's why you saw the enclosure completely yellow. We are using turmeric powder. In wildlife, what happens is it's not feasible to every day go and keep touching the animal, putting ointments and powders, because the animals are so stressed out. Are going and trying to help them causes more damage. So once the basic injections, fluid therapy, and painkiller treatment is done, we use very indigenous methods like turmeric. Keep the flies out. The animal can keep circling all she wants, but her foot, which is showing heavy bleeding and injuries on the foot pad because of the road hit, I think, is healing well. But as you can see, she's circling. So that means her vestibular system or her balance is kind of haywire. So she will mostly never be released unless she stops that behavior. So we are looking, she came on January 5th, and today it's March 3rd. So this has been a long process for her. Maybe she might recover, but right now there is no treatment for this viral disease. She's been through a course of regular antibiotics, painkillers, and everything. And now she's eating well. She loves her beef, and she has 2 plates of beef. And she's quite, even though she's circling, she's quite steady in that circling. Before, when she came, she was tottering and falling and tripping. So now she's getting steadier, but eventual release back in the forest looks highly doubtful. Now we'll continue the tour. So as you can see, we have little enclosures where we keep all the animals once they are done. I'm now taking you to the monkey enclosure, where, as I told you, once from the inpatient room the animal is ready, they are brought onto bigger enclosures like these. And now you will meet 2 baby monkeys called Brigu and Bharadwaj, who were hand-reared by us. Their mother, I think, passed away because of, electrocution, dog bite, or disease. I am not sure. They were found orphaned. So this is Brigu, and that is Bharadwaj. They are not brothers. They came separately, and we slowly introduced them, And now we have introduced them with this girl called Maruti. She was a pet. And with pet monkeys, as I told you, they're highly nervous. They don't know what to do with monkeys because they're so imprinted with people. They are comfortable with people, but very uncomfortable with, their own kind. So as you can see, she has been now mixed with these babies, but she's still quite nervous, and she would like to not be with them. And she's very comfortable with me. And as you can see, she's thumb sucking, which is a very classic sign of pet monkeys. Wild monkey, you will never see them thumb sucking. This is all very classic stress busting signs of pet monkeys, So baby monkey rearing is basically, we do not use cow's milk, because the cow's milk is adulterated with a lot of hormones and antibiotics, which the animals, go in for diarrhea and die. So we use lactogen or powder milk, and then Slowly we start them on fruits, veggies, and now I will stop interacting with these two and slowly start distancing myself so that the monkey forgets me and the rehabilitator, and starts associating more with his own kind and develops a healthy fear for people. That's when the chances of survival for these guys are good. But as you see, they are really tiny. They are almost 6 months old, and they will at least take at least 3 years more of rehab work before they can actually go back into the wild. So this is a very slow, long process. In the meanwhile, we have to look at immunity issues. We have to look at psychological issues. But luckily, there were two of them, so they have each other at least. And Maruti hopefully will eventually start, becoming close to them. But right now, she wants nothing to do with them, and she's like, "Please get me away from these two pesky little fellows." And she would just like to be with people, but that's not possible for her anymore. But luckily, at least she's eating. She's not losing too much weight and missing her previous owners. So let's hope she's on the mend. I would like to take you through another pet monkey who was abandoned on adult, being an adult. So where is he? Where is he? Okay, he's hiding somewhere. Basically, he has a lot of psychological issues. As you can see, he's sitting here, and he has these strange behavioral quirks where he keeps biting himself, and he's very unpredictable. Oh, sorry. Okay. He held my phone just now. So now what happens with these adult pets is that we can't trust them, and they can bite the smaller animals, and that can be very, very damaging. So he's right now alone, which is not a very nice place for him to be in, but it is difficult for an unpredictable adult male to be mixed with babies, initially at least. So he's alone right now. Now I'll take you through. So this is the in room where they come inside at night, and during the day they are in an outdoor enclosure which has a lot of play area, water. So this is the outdoor enclosure, and it's got a nice tree, and as you can see, they're all outside now. Now we have this rhesus macaque. If you can observe, this fellow is a rhesus macaque, whereas she is a bonnet macaque. You can see the hair on the forehead. There is a twirl of hair on her forehead, so like a bonnet, whereas he has smooth hair. So he came like a really small guy, which was a case of, he was kept as a pet in someone's house. And since we don't find them in South India, so we'll have to kind of, we don't have rhesus macaque basically, and he was all alone. So we decided that, okay, he needs a touch. So we have mixed him with her. Then there are a couple of others also. So there are platforms, there are swings, and they can play around. So in animals in captivity, especially, we have to look at enrichment, which is very essential if the animal is not to get bored and develop, a behavioral issue, psychological problems. So it's very essential that we put swings and platforms and put water for them to play in and play in. This is the adjoining enclosure where that she's very curious as to what I'm doing. So there are 5 monkeys in this enclosure, and we are basically making a artificial group. They were not related. They have come individually. They came injured, orphaned, and now after almost 3 years, they're kind of bonding into a group. But as you can see, they're sitting here close to me, so they're not afraid of people. So they will take a little bit more time before they can be released, because the first sign that they're ready for release is they should not be interested in people. In fact, they should be afraid of people and move away. This is Nandini. You can see she's thumb sucking her toe. So she's also been hand-reared by me. She came in 2018 as a very small baby, day old. She fell down. She had a head injury, completely paralyzed, looked like she will never walk again. But she's shown a very good recovery. But there is no fear still of people, so it will be longer for her to be released. So that area and all, we have kept it as wild as possible. At night, we have a lot of visitors, wild visitors like, uh, civet cats, jungle cats, leopards, even elephants. We have wild elephants coming. So we have built up a small area and left the remaining wild, because these animals need to know that life in the forest is not all song and dance. They need to be very aware and alert as to the predators around, get used to the predatory calls, alarm calls, and become wary of people and other predators. So this the wild animals who come at night once we all leave is what help them survive in the wild eventually. Now this enclosure next to me is an aviary, and here we have crows. Basically, there are two species of crows: the house crow as well as the jungle crow. You can see there are two house crows there, and there is one jungle crow, two jungle crows there. So jungle crow is nothing but the large bill crow, and these were also manja cases. One was an orphaned baby, and crows are very hardy animals. They come with the worst injuries, but they seem to recover and bounce back very well. So it's very heartening to treat crows. I think treating crows is my joy, because I always feel, okay, this guy will make it, and kind of makes my ego boost. Whereas other wild animals are very sensitive to stress and capture myopathy, which is basically when you handle a wild animal, their system starts producing something called cortisol hormone, which starts affecting all their systems, and leads to like a myopathy or a heart attack scenario. And irrespective of whatever we do, the animal will succumb. So crows that way are a real delight to treat, where they bounce back very well. Now this aviary also houses black kites. And you can see we have put this coconut thatch is because to provide privacy, one. Second is it keeps the enclosures cool, and because the temperatures are already started rising, and so it kind of keeps the enclosures very calm and cool. So you can see there are many sitting down. These are all manja cases, but they're also on top, which are flying well. Those will be released. So this is a black kite sitting here. So we put platforms because most of them cannot fly well. So they hobble and go up, and they kind of have a sense of height. Birds like to perch on a height and don't like to be on the ground. Being on the ground is kind of a stress situation for all birds. So the height itself gives confidence to the bird. So a couple of them are flying really well. And what procedure we have to follow is we inform the range forest officer. He will come here and he will release these birds right here. Most birds have a very high, they have like a, okay, I have to introduce you to this Alexandrine parakeet. He's very curious in the adjoining cage. And as you can see, he's got a ring around his neck, right? So it's a male. He was kept as a pet, and he's very curious about people, so he's still not ready for release and will take more time to be released. Let's get into the parakeet enclosure. Hello. He's flying well. That's a good thing. So, as you can see, we have put platforms for them to climb, because many of them, when they come here, in spite of having the apparatus of flying wings, they don't use them because they've never used their flight, So they eventually get it, but it takes time, watching other birds. As you can see, my boys are cleaning. This is the evening cleaning happening. They are provided all the facilities like face mask, gloves, essential. And you can see they're all, this is an Alexandrine parakeet, whereas this is a rose ring parakeet. And there are many of them up there. They kind of don't like the whole people in their enclosure. And so all these were basically rescued from captivity, and they've never been wild. Slowly we are turning them wild. So this takes a little bit of time. Hello. So I'll just so as you can see, the area adjoining this enclosure is again wild. We have a lot of predators again coming here. So these pet birds need to learn what are the predators they have to face in the wild and get smart. Otherwise, they will not survive once they are released. You can see they have nicely finished their feed, and the feed that we saw earlier, which was cut, will be placed after this this cleaning process is done. You can see the center is quite wild, and we try to keep it wild. We don't clean it up much, remove the leaves, because you know, as a rehab center, it's not about the look. It needs to kind of mimic a wild setup, and the animals need to get, you know, more acclimatized to how a wild setup is. So as you can see, it's dry season now, so it's looking very dry. But during the monsoon, this is a lovely, lovely place. Not that it is not now, but it's lush green, and you can see the tree cover. So now we come to the last part, where we have these small little cages, where once a bird is ready, say a koel or a barbet, we will shift them. So they are empty right now because the animals have been released. We have to have a double protection, as you can see, because at night there are a lot of predators which come, and they know this is easy target, and so they try their luck, you know. So finally, I'm going to take you to my owl enclosure, and I will just keep quiet for a moment. You can have a look, and then we will discuss. So I don't know if you can see them. There are this is a barn owl. That's a barn owl. They are very nervous. Their feed has been put for the night. They're nocturnal, so we put their feed in the evening. It's okay, birdie. It's okay, birdie. It's okay. It's okay. This big fellow is a rock eagle owl. I think I will leave now. So I have 4 barn owls and 1 rock eagle owl. The rock eagle owl was brought from almost 200 kilometers away in Coorg, where it was stuck in a barbed wire. So the wing is completely damaged. And though I tried a lot of new stuff, but it just didn't fly well. So most likely this girl will be our lifetime care. But the other 4 barn owls are flying well, and maybe in a week, 2 weeks after we intimate the forest department official, they'll be released. The last inpatient patient we have are the Indian flying fox, or the fruit bat. I don't know if you can see them. They're upside down, and no, you can't. Yeah, I think there is. You can see that's hanging upside down. So these are fruit-eating giant Indian fruit bat, and they do not carry corona. But during 2020, a lot of bats were injured and tried to kill by people, because there was a false rumor that, you know, bats are spreading coronavirus. So we got these 2 which were like badly injured, and their wings were badly damaged, you know. So they've been here with us, and they're not flying well. So most likely they will also be in with us lifetime, because they cannot make it out on their own alone. So basically, this is my setup. I right now have 400 animals, including the stars, which are almost 252 right now I have. And though they look small and not very iconic and glamorous, the care and attention they require is equally intense, so. And we try to give them as best opportunity to get back on their feet and get back into the wild, whatever the circumstances, whatever the story, the tragedy. Most come with such brutal cases of sad stories, but the thing is, let it be a crow, whether it's a Schedule 5 crow or a Schedule 1 loris or a Schedule 2 monkey. We give it our best shot, and we have a very good success rate. And the forest department, who's given us this land, um, and we work under them, is very cooperative, and we hope to do more good work in the future. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to take you through my center and my amazing life here in the center. So if you have any, one last thing, I would like you to introduce you to Tata now. He is our resident bonnet macaque who was rescued from a lab in 2000, and he was basically kept in captivity for all his life. But we decided that now he needs to live free, and since he is not at all angsty and aggressive to people, we have left him free in the center, and he just roams around and teaches all our baby monkeys and pesky pets to be a natural, normal, healthy monkey. So that's Tata, our resident grandfather and patriarch. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful expertise of yours and for this amazing virtual tour. It was like as if we are there in the rescue center. I
Thank you.
request the audience to please ask questions if you have any. So, ma'am, we have a question in the chat box. Agrani says, are there any activities that are performed by animals to overcome trauma?
Performed by animals to overcome trauma.
That's what the
Huh.
question reads. I guess she's asking about how you help animals overcome the traumas.
Right, right. So, if it's a wild animal, okay, we're not considering pet animals. If it's a wild adult animal, the thing is, we have to keep them in captivity as long as the wound is ready, and then we mix them with other monkeys, okay, and not directly mixing. This is in an adjoining cage, because the wild monkeys will go back, especially monkeys I'm talking, will go back to where they came from, because they have a family or a troop in the city wherever they came from. We're not going to now make them give them an artificial family and force them to join that. When pet monkeys come to us, for instance, then they are completely lost, they're imprinted by people, and they don't know what are the monkey etiquettes, like how to say hello, what is the proper way to present yourself to a superior animal or an alpha animal. So they get into a lot of scrap, and in this I feel like I'm very, very helpless, in the sense there is nothing I can tell them that they will learn. The only way they can learn is by observation, observing their own kind. And Tata here, as I introduced you to him, helps me a lot in this, wherein he's just so intuitive about my baby monkeys like Brigu and Bharadwaj, for instance. When I would be feeding them milk and bring them out for their sun exposure, he would be like looking at me, what the hell are you doing with my kind? I mean, what is wrong with you, woman? Where do you keep getting them? Why are you producing baby monkeys? So I'm like, Tata, I didn't do anything. They're just coming like this. But now he slowly gets it, like, okay, she's not bad. And now I see him interacting with these babies, and I think there is a communication happening where he's telling me, okay, now you back off, I will take over. So you need, as a rehabilitator, you kind of need to back off sometime after you've done your basic survival. You see, you cannot now keep interfering and expecting that animal to be afraid of people and be wary of people when you keep touching them. So after a point, we need to back off, and nature takes its course, So other monkeys, the wild animals around, the behavior, the alarm calls, all that plays a part. So nature basically takes in. So we do half the job and nature does the other half. Actually, it's all nature. We assume we're doing half the job. So yeah, just to feel better, yeah.
Ma'am, there's another question in the chat box. Kritika is asking, is there any incidents when the animal has escaped from here?
Oh yeah, I already have a bonnet macaque. You can see she's escaped. She's opened the cage very conveniently and she's escaped. Okay? Now she likes her freedom. She's mixed up with Tata. Tata is a very nice host and she's just partying. Okay. Now, and she steals food from the inmates and it's like, I do have these instances, but luckily they are not aggressive. If they do get aggressive, then I'll have to, tranquilize them. But this is a good learning curve, for her because this was a pet and you can see her tail is cut. So what happened is the owners, by mistake, left her and a wild monkey came and bit her apparently. And that's when they came and gave her to us. So I was wondering how to now, make her into a monkey, but she escaped and now Tata is doing the job brilliantly. And you can see she's not coming to me. Before she would come to me, sit on my shoulder, would want to, look at ticks or find fleas on my hair. But see, she's not interested in me. And that fellow there is another wild monkey who is called kangaroo. He is basically having 3 limbs missing. You can see him is coming. Hi, kangaroo. Hi, sweetheart. Hi. You can see he's a triple amputee. But he was crossing an electric, he got electrocuted, okay, and he lost 3 limbs. He's just got one entire good limb, but he also escaped when we shifted him to a larger enclosure, and he's loving his life with Tata and this other female. And so that's what the resilience of these animals is, just bowls me over. We have a little problem when we just fall apart. Whereas look at them, he's just got such spunk and life in him. So yes, animals escape, and in fact, in wildlife rehab, if an animal escapes from the enclosure, I feel like gratified because then the animal is ready and they know when they're ready, right? So they release themselves. I don't, but of course, the forest department does not understand this many times, and they're like, "No, madam, you should have informed us, and we had to take a video." And I'm like, "But look, the barbet decided it was ready and wanted to be released, and he didn't want to wait for you." So I have a little bit of a, bureaucratic issue, but as a rehabilitator, I'm very gratified when a bird or even a monkey escapes and is doing fine. Like for instance, kangaroo. He's just awesome. He's just watching me talking to my phone, and he's like, "These humans are completely bad." Hi, kangaroo. Yeah. Any other questions?
Ma'am, I would also like to ask you, are there any achievements of the rehabilitation center? Any numbers, like this many animals you have rescued and you have helped them? Like any numbers?
If I go through my annual inventory for the past 13 years I have been here, we have rescued more than, I think, 50,000 animals. I can compile the numbers, but I've not done it. And we have a lot of releases, lots of releases. So I think out of the admissions, 100% admissions, we have almost a 50% plus success rate of release, which is very good considering that wild animals are very susceptible to stress and it's so hard to turn them around, So it is, but the exact numbers I'll need to sit and, make an Excel sheet and compile. But yes, it is a pretty high number, like you can see the number of species there are. The numbers like of star tortoises itself, out of the 555, we've already released half of them, So the success rate goes up significantly because of, the numbers that we receive.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, any one task that you found most difficult as a wildlife rehabilitator, or any memory while working with the operation or rescue operation that you would like to share with us? Any fond memory of yours?
Fond, very, very intense. What I found is I get these slender lorises, which are, found in the Indian subcontinent. It is a small primate weighing around 275 grams. And locally, they are used in the black magic practice, okay? So they're used as a living voodoo doll where they connect the person with the animal and then they poke them, with needles. And they poke their eyes, which are so beautiful. They burn their hands, which have opposable thumb, just like us. And they poke their heart, genitalia, liver. It is heartbreaking to see. It's a Schedule 1 animal, protected and all that. But the superstition is so strong, the belief is so strong, and it's still happening rampantly. Especially on the full moon and the new moon days, we get a lot of cases, and it's heartbreaking, frankly. And I try to talk about this in any forum I get, to spread awareness as to, we need more legislature, we need more awareness, and people doing it, please stop doing it. I mean, you will not get a better job, or you'll not retain your minister seat, or you won't get your son married because you torture a schedule one iconic species, and it breaks my heart to see that happening even now. So that always, even now when the case comes, I'm like, when will this stop? When will I not have to deal with this treatment, especially, because the rest is also heartbreaking. But this, I don't know, hits me at another level, I guess, because they're primates like us, and they're so close and so beautiful, so I have a soft spot. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, what was your inspiration? Why you started as a rehabilitator, and what message would you like to convey us, the young science students, to take this as a career?
You know what? I'll tell you frankly, there is no money in wildlife. Okay, at least not small wildlife. I think if you work with, say, elephants, and your funding might be better, but species like squirrels, monkeys, there's not much money. But I have been doing it for 13 years now in this center, and in wildlife I've been for 17 years. And I still love to come back to work on a Monday morning. There is no, oh my God, why do I have to go? There is such joy and fun to be back at work, which, if you work with wildlife, animals, and the things you like to do, okay, even if you like to do it, you have passion for it, you will not get bored, and you will do it till you're 60, 70, 80. But if you do something for money, for instance, or opportunity and other things, you'll get bored in 10, 5. You'll get burnt out. You'll be bored out of your brains. But if you have a passion, especially wildlife and conservation, it's so fulfilling. I think I know so many people who are half in their grave, but they feel like I can do it like forever. So it gives you that, I think, extra zest to continue work and keep doing, irrespective of whatever the heartbreak, failures, drawbacks, no money, no recognition. That's all fine, because what you get in your heart, the joy, and the animals that they give you, like kangaroo, for instance, he trusts me so much, and Tata, and I just I don't need anyone else. I'm saying, so it gives you a level of freedom and I don't know, uh, joy that is priceless. So um, do it, listen to your heart and go for it, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. It also connects us to the nature, and
Yeah, yeah. And somehow, nature will take care of you. Then she's not like just a dead system. It's a living system, and she's seeing what you're doing, and it's a give and take. So you give, and you're also taking a lot back. But it might not be in very tangible forms of, say, all the time money or recognition, or very concrete ways. It might not be, but very subtle, discreet ways, you're getting a lot back. At least that's what I feel. And I would recommend it to every youngster out there who has a little love also. Just follow it, man. Just follow it. I think it's awesome. It's awesome.
thank you so much, ma'am. Any other questions? If anybody wishes to ask, you can put in the chat box. I'll take up your query for ma'am to answer, obviously. I don't see any more questions, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was fun meeting Tata, Bhirgu, Bharadwaj, and obviously the kangaroo. We'll remember all of them. And thank you so much, ma'am, for being
Right.
so outspoken. And I would like to take this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion on behalf of the entire zoology department of Miranda House. And thank you so much, ma'am, for gracing this event with your expertise and with your precious time and for your cooperation. I would also
Thank,
like to thank our principal, Dr. Vijay Lakshmi Nanda, ma'am, for providing us this opportunity, this platform to organize this virtual tour, and Dr. Nisha, ma'am, and Dr. Yasha, ma'am, for their support and guidance. I would also like to extend my thanks to my fellow office bearers and all the audience present here today. Once again, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so
thank you,
much for
Swati. Thank
joining
you so
us.
much.
It
God
was
bless.
fun,
Bye.
ma'am. It was fun. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Bye. Bye.